All right, and we are live once again. Welcome everybody to Tuesday Comic Conversation. I'm Jesse. Here's the host and the wonderful panel here. It's good to have everybody back all together again. See, there's that delay I was telling you about. All right, so we have a lot to talk about. As you could have guessed from the title, we are going to be talking a lot about Suicide Squad. So that comes out this week, so I'm really amped for that, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. As we always do in the beginning, check on, how you guys have been. Want to introduce yourselves? I want to start with Chris, though. Excuse me. Let me say Uncle Chris. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's going good, going good. This last week was really, it was really busy for me. Just a lot of running around trying to make sure that, everything's all right. But my sister-in-law had her son yesterday, just before noon, and I was able to go and see him last night at the work. So, actually, let me go ahead and get a screen share for you real quick. Where is it? Should be right there. So I don't know if you can see him, but that's him right there. You guys see him?
Yeah, congratulations,
man. A little tight.
Yeah. But yeah, so
Did you get his first comic book yet?
I have so many. I have so many like dollar bin stuff that I have plenty for him. If he is gonna end up becoming a fan of comics, which would be awesome. I have plenty for him to read. So it was good to meet him yesterday. It was just like he's ultra tiny, real just really fun time. Like I have two nieces that I married into my wife's family this year, and so I've been with her for about 3 years, and so her niece was already born and everything. So this is the first actual from birth till watching all the way through I get to do. So I'm really excited for that. But
That's awesome, man. I mean, there's nothing like a new addition to the family.
Hit the applause for that.
But yeah, other than that, I reached 150 subscribers. So to everyone who is subscribed to me, thank you very much. Just great to hit that milestone. Like I said, I do this mostly for fun, so it's just fun to be able to get out there and do that. So I was able to celebrate birth of my nephew and 150 subscribers yesterday, which was awesome. So starting my week off on a really, really good note.
Good.
Yeah, congrats on that end of things too. It's a big milestone. All right, very good. All right, Mr. StrictlyComix, how you doing, Edwin?
Oh, I'm good. It's great to be on the panel with everybody. Really getting the hang of this formula, and it's just good to be back. Kind of looking forward to see Chris with his new edition, adding photos and stuff like that. So, it's really exciting, man. Congratulations again, man. I know you've gotten that a lot already, Chris, man, but congratulations once more.
Thank you.
I guess I kind of reached a milestone. I got 100 followers on Instagram, which is kind of cool. I don't spend a whole lot of time on there, but every once in a while I try to post some cool looking stuff. So really appreciate everybody doing that, and it's just my little part trying to contribute to the comic book community. But really looking forward to talking about this whole Harley Quinn, among other things, today.
Cool, very good. Congratulations on that too. And yeah, if you guys aren't on Instagram, I highly recommend it. It's a fun, cool community. Tons of really awesome pictures get thrown up there every day. And but you guys, I know you guys are on there too. I follow you guys. I think you follow me. But it's cool. It's a good supplement or addition or however you want to work it to YouTube and your other social media. So.
It's a lot easier than posting YouTube videos, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's very true.
Sure.
That's true. All right, Justin, we missed you last week. How's it been?
Yeah, man. I'm sorry. I'm glad to be back. I hated to miss it. Had to get out of where I was. Move sucks, but glad to be back and see what we got to talk about this week with the crazy Suicide Squad movie that's coming out.
That's right. So you getting settled into your new digs? You liking it so far?
It's
New
a
background.
yeah. It is what it is. I think I'll be moving again shortly, so it's all good. It's a quick turnaround.
You're moving a lot. What are you trying to avoid? I'm getting on the jury duty.
Yeah, I'm just I'm trying to stay off the radar. Got some people looking for me. It's just like gotta get off the grid. Wait, this isn't helping. Crap.
Yeah. While you're broadcasting yourself on the internet.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I failed.
Yeah.
Well, he's in Georgia. He don't need to go too far to get off the grid.
That's right. It's like 20 miles anyway.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man, that's fun. All right, cool. So as we usually do, we always talk about the books we're looking forward to tomorrow. So last week we just kind of cruised through them pretty quick just to get to like the big content. So I like that format, and I think that people watching like that too. So what we'll do is the same thing, same top 5 books, but just kind of bang them out all 5 at once, and we'll just get right on to the good stuff. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Cool. All right, so we started with you, Chris. Why don't we start with you again?
All right, so I am looking forward to Batman number 4, Superman number 4, Green Lantern number 4. Also, I mean, like everybody in the world, I'm picking up the Harley Quinn just because I'm not. We'll get into more of that later, but I will be picking up a Harley Quinn. But and then following that, there is I think it's for Image. It's called Kill or Be Killed number 1. So I figure. Image number 1's always a good pickup, so I'm definitely going to be picking that one up.
Cool. Next up, batter out. Edwin?
Sure. I'm actually right there along with Chris. The same thing with Image, the Kill or Be Killed. The storyline for that looked pretty awesome. I don't like the fact that it's a $3.99 cover because Image, for the most part, has been pretty good at putting out books at $2.99 to $3.50, but I'm gonna give it a shot, see how it turns out. But same thing with everybody else. Harley Quinn number 1. I am gonna get just a regular cover. I'm not gonna get all the freaking however many covers they got going on because I already got my.
We're gonna talk about that in a second. Yeah.
Yeah, I already got my Michael Turner variants coming in the mail whenever they decide to ship those out. So with that and the regular cover, that's like 4 covers already. So along with Batman number 4, Superman number 4, and also Suicide Squad number 1. Although I think they should have waited on a week or so before they put that out, just in my opinion, because you already got Harley Quinn coming out, and Harley Quinn is almost always tied to Suicide Squad. So.
Right.
But that's what I got coming out. That's what I'm looking forward to this week.
All right, cool. Next up,
All right. I got from Image, Faster Than Light, issue number 9. Really like that story. Brian Haberlin doing a great job on that one. Tokyo Ghost number 9 is also coming out. Really love that story. Love that art. Daredevil Annual number 1. Why are they even still doing annuals if they just restart the titles all the time? It doesn't make sense. But I'll pick it up because it's Daredevil. Bastards. And then, of course, Batman and Green Arrow number 4 is coming out. Bam. 5. Done.
Cool. Nice. All right. Well, it seems like we all, it's a fairly light week in terms of the variety coming out, I feel like. So my list is kind of similar to you guys. Superman number 4. I got to see what happens with the Eradicator and all that, and what happened with crypto,
Mm-hmm.
And of course Batman. I'm picking that up. That story is interesting, if nothing else. I'm looking forward to seeing where it's going. So I'm checking that out. Of course, Harley, and we're going to talk about that in a second. What's up, Big E's? How you doing? And then I have Kill or Be Killed on my list too. Looks interesting. I was going to say you stole that from me, but I'll just repeat it. It's Ed Brubaker on that, so he's always good. So that is that's good enough. That's enough books. Harley, let's talk about that. more than we already have. So obviously the movies and all the hype and everything. I don't know how many retailers did it, but it ends up being because they have all the black and white covers, the sketch, you know, all the other stuff. Some of them, like the Puddin' Pack, had 3. So if you put all those together, there's 72 different covers. And then you get the 2 regular covers, the cover A and the cover B. So for this book, there's 74 freaking covers.
Yeah. So basically, you can just, you know, if you get paid this week or if you get paid last week, just give your whole check over. You can have all the
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
That is like 72 covers. I mean, including store variants and stuff. That's nuts. I mean, and that's pretty crazy. Like when you think of print runs and stuff of what's going on now. I mean, that book. I mean, I'm gonna get it just because I want to have it, but it's just like, you know, the print run's gonna be ridiculous. It's probably, you know, coming up on like a 90. I mean, unless people have numbers on it, but like that's almost gonna be like a 90s print run. That's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Man, if you think about it, it's like, yeah, if you think that's like a whole series. You know, sometimes we struggle so hard just to get a complete run of something. Could you imagine trying to get every single one of those covers?
That'd be insane.
I
These
want
are,
to
you know,
meet the person
20,
who
30,
does.
40 bucks a pop, too.
Yeah.
You know? Honestly, you know what? I feel like it is. It's a cash grab, really, and it's a way for DC to say thanks to the retailers at very little cost to them. Because you know, there's people going to buy these up, you know, $40 for an issue. You know, that's a lot of money for, you know, compared to the $2.99 for the regular book. You know, so you know, it's throwing these out to the retailers and saying, here, sell these for, you know, astronomical prices, make some good money off them. Thanks for being a customer. That's how I feel about it.
At some point,
nuts on it, so.
Go ahead. I was just saying, at some point it'll get to where the regular cover will be rare because there's so many variants.
It's possible. This is going to be a good thing to follow, to just see how many Diamond, how much they sell, you know, how many people pick up, because this isn't going to be one of those like Walking Dead #1 type or anything. I predict easily 250,000 copies sold.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Especially because of the hype of the movie in the same week. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. There's gonna be people buying that have probably never been in the shop before. They go see the movie and they're like, "Who is this? Who's Margot Robbie?" You know?
That would be interesting if we could see the sales numbers of like Wednesday versus like Saturday. You know.
Yeah.
To see if there was a spike later in the week because of the movie itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The one thing I will say with all those covers, though, if you are an eBay seller, it's a great time for it, just because you'll make your money back, you know, hand over fist with all those covers. Absolutely.
It would actually be kind of cool if some of them were connecting also. It seems like they're all going to be pretty much individual covers, right?
There's one by Comic Exposure that connects to, it's by, what's his name? Ian March, I think his name is. And he did the Gotham City Sirens book, if you recall that. And it has like the stuff in the background. His current book actually ties to like issue 4, 5, and 6 of that. So that's kind of the only sort of connecting covery type of thing that I am aware of.
You know, with all these, you know how all these Harley Quinn covers, I wonder if they have any, and I haven't looked, Jesse, but I'm actually curious if J. Scott Campbell is doing one. You know, he's a big female drawer, and I definitely couldn't see any reason why he or, you know, other hot DC female artists are on board for this. Like John Boy Meyer is pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
that would be awesome. I would absolutely scoop up that if J. Scott did a cover. I was talking with Greg Horn, and he said that a couple of people had reached out to him to do a cover as well. But you know, there's like all these politics in the DC bullpen, let's call it, and you know, some things going on there, kind of behind the scenes that he told me not to say anything about it. But end of the story there is that he's not doing a cover. He really wanted to. He had like things sketched out and everything, but because of those stupid reasons, he wasn't able to do it. So That would have been a great cover too. Greg Horn, Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be amazing to go into the comic book store and then see an entire shelf of just Harley Quinn #1.
It's probably just going to be a whole wall full of it. I mean, it's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, but you know what though? There's not going to be a lot of fighting for variants. I mean, there should be enough to go around for everybody.
That's a good like homework assignment. Everybody, when you go to the shop, take a picture of the Harley Quinns. We'll see how each shop has it differently.
Of Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
You know, but there are going to be so many, and there's going to be so many out there. Everybody's getting them. So I feel like value-wise, it's not like the supply is there to meet the demand. So I don't know if this book, any of these really, you know, even with the artificial limited quantities, you know, limited print run, if those are going to hold any value over time. So if you're going in looking to, you know, make a little bit of money off of it, I would say sell it quick. Don't hang on to it for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And then if you look at, I think Suicide Squad, the comic book comes out, you know, around the same time. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just really going to be ridiculous in my opinion. I mean, this Wednesday. I think I'm going to definitely check out some YouTube videos, not just you guys, but other people, just to see who all is getting these Harley Quinn variants. Because one of the things that I thought was really ridiculous was, if you guys remember when the New 52 started, you know, they come out with Suicide Squad with that Harley Quinn on the cover. Like, you know, that's like $100 book now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, why is it $100 book? It's not even the first appearance of Suicide. It's not even the first appearance of Harley Quinn. So, is this new rebirth Suicide Squad and Harley Quinn going to kind of go in that same direction?
It could, yeah. Yeah, that's one of the few New 52 books to really retain value and, you know, triple digits. You know, that is Batman #1, and what else from New 52 really is up
not
there with
much,
those books?
Man.
Yeah.
Maybe certain variant covers, but there's not much.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to watch what it does over time. I ordered a couple of them, like 3 or 4, but I really wanted to pick and choose on this because, like I said before, I just feel like it's kind of a cash grab.
Now, on the Suicide Squad Rebirth issue that's coming out this week, I thought Jim Lee was doing the art on that series, but it's not him on this book. Does anybody know anything about that?
It's not?
No, it's like Philip Tan.
Well, he's going to do the cover.
Or the interiors, or the cover.
I don't know. I just looked and it just said him as the only artist. So.
Yeah, I think Jim Lee pretty much is going to be just a cover artist. I mean, I remember when he did Batman Unchained, I was really excited when it came out, and then I found out that his schedule doesn't fit with the comic book coming out, so they only did like 9 issues. As a matter of fact, I think they did like 8 issues of that, and it took forever for that #9 to come out. So Jim Lee, I think, is really limited on what he's going to do as far as interior pages. If he does an interior pages on a comic book, it's going to be few and far between.
Right, or just something that's a limited run that he can take his time with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You tend to start something and then kind of get bored with it and move on to the next project. So.
Yeah. But it's so good for those first couple issues, and then it's all.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if Jim Lee becomes the face of DC, kind of like how Stan Lee was for Marvel.
Yeah. I see that.
You'll be paying $120 for his signature in the future. Watch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like Stanley Jr. All right, so let's talk about the movie. Obviously, that's coming out this week, a couple of days from now, right? We had talked about the opening 2 weeks ago, I think it was, opening predictions for opening weekend, right? Box office. And at the time, with those sort of pre-surveys, they were looking at like 125 million, around there, ballpark, for opening weekend. And then it got bumped up a few days ago to 145. But now that, you know, the premiere's out, the the people that go to the premiere, I forget the name for it, but they have like a sort of like a ban where they can't talk about it, and then that ban is released, and then they can put out their reviews and stuff. Well, that just happened, so now we're getting all these reviews, and every freaking website is putting up a review, and they're pretty mixed. Let me just say that.
Really?
Some of them are really not favorable at all. They're saying it's a mess. It's like a horrible movie. Others, like I shared one earlier on Facebook from comicbook.com. They loved it. Thought it was great. The characterization there really kind of like, according to this, sort of outweighed the negatives of the plot and the pacing and stuff. So really mixed reviews there. I know Rotten Tomatoes, it's at like 33%, which is pretty low. But I just saw a few minutes ago, I think it was King of the Golden State shared a link that there is a petition to like take that down or take down Rotten Tomatoes because of those reviews. So, yeah, I didn't actually like read through it fully, but I mean, case in point is all this is like extremely mixed. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people hate the people who hate it. So that can really affect the predictions, of course. If that we were talking about, but. Do you guys want to change yours at all? Do you think it's going to do more than you thought it did? Or do you think it's going to, because of the reviews, kind of like shit the bed on the money-making aspect of it? Do you remember what you said?
Yeah.
I don't remember the number I said exactly, but I think
you
it's
said 90.
I said 90?
90 million.
Yeah.
Edwin, you said 85, Justin 95. And I was at 80, I think. So I guess I was the lowest one.
The pessimist.
Oh, no, I said 89. 89.
And we said that was for domestic?
Yeah, domestic opening
worldwide.
weekend.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So we'll say Thursday to Sunday.
I think it'll still do. I think it'll still do those numbers. I mean, I don't think that people, the reviews that came out are going to damage it that badly. It's a movie that people still want to see no matter what. So now, do I think that people may see it and be disappointed? Maybe, but I mean, critics ain't always right. That's the one thing I can always say. Like sometimes critics will say something's a piece of shit, and lo and behold, it ends up being just a classic movie. A good example is Scarface, the Brian De Palma one from the '80s. The critics hated that movie. They were just like, this is the worst movie we've ever seen. And I mean, look at it now. It's just, I mean, how much has it spawned, merchandise, video games, all types of crap. I mean, it's now a part of, pop culture in America for the most part, as far as, everyone knows Scarface. So it's just, the best advice I can give you is just go see it, make your own opinion, and, tell us what you think about it, spoiler free on YouTube. Like, if you see it and you don't like it, let us know. If you see it and you love it, let us know, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Before we get moving a little further on this, shout out to some people in the chat. We have Undisputed Frost, Marky316. We have Don Comic Book Junkie, Biggie's Comics, Nerdivision's here. So we got a pretty good cast of characters there in the chat. So if you guys have anything, I see there's some comments here. They're talking about a book called Hillbilly. So I know Frost is going to like that book. That one's already sold out, so that might be one worth checking out too. So I actually gave 4, so that'll be my 5th. I'm cheating. I'm taking that Frost. Hillbilly. If you can get it, apparently it's sold out. Check that one out. But anyways, shout out to the people in the chat, and if you guys have anything to add to this conversation, feel free. And we're going to keep an eye on that and read out those comments as they come through. So there you go. But anyways, back to the movie.
Well, I'm glad that you told me the Rotten Tomatoes rating, because I was just trying to look for that last night, and I didn't see anything posted yet. So, and we all know that those Rotten Tomatoes, they'll fluctuate as time goes on. They usually don't fluctuate a whole lot, but I know a lot of people don't really like Rotten Tomatoes too much. I use it just to get some kind of indicator on at least what the critics are saying. So I don't know, man. I think, I'm looking at like Ghostbusters right now on Box Office Mojo, and I think, yeah, and here's where I'm looking at them because they had so much crap talking about them before the movie was ever released, and I think opening weekend they still raked in like 60 or 64 million dollars. You know, you're talking about Suicide Squad, which there's usually just good stuff being talked about it, and a lot of it is Harley Quinn fans. But I could see this possibly definitely doing better than something like Ghostbusters. But it's just one of those things that, regardless of what you say, a lot of people are going to go see it anyways, just because they want that experience. They want to see what it's like for themselves. So I think it's going to be a good turnout. Whether the movie's going to be really good or not, that still is yet to be determined, but I still think a lot of people are going to turn out to see this movie regardless of what people say about it.
Yeah, and hey, do any of you guys or anybody in the chat have T-Mobile? The cell service?
Mm-hmm.
There's a thing called T-Mobile Tuesdays. Have you heard of it? It's a separate app you can download. They have, I guess it's only for T-Mobile members, which would make sense, right? But they have Suicide Squad tickets for free. You have to download it and get it today. So if you or any of those people have it, free tickets for the movie. So I got that. I did it this morning. So whatever these reviews are, I already bought my ticket. So
nice.
Yeah, Biggie says T-Mobile. Yeah, so check that app out. It's called. I'll write it in the chat for you guys. T-Mobile Tuesdays. You can get free tickets. But T-Mobile Tuesdays.
Marky316 says he's going to have him a review about the movie Thursday night. So
sweet.
Maybe if anybody wants to check out his channel, if he's going to put up a review. I don't know if any of you guys are going to put up a review, but Marky says he's going to.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do something. I don't know.
Just depends on when I get to see it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to see it this weekend or not. If I am, then I'll do a review. If not, then I probably won't. I mean, it depends. I mean, if I really like it, maybe I will. If I really don't like it, maybe I will. But the way I see it is just seeing it after.
Could be a reviewer,
I just want to jump on the bandwagon lane and be like, so here's my review of a movie you've all seen already, and just one of those type things. But
yeah, I did one for Ghostbusters. I did it at like 3 in the morning that day. So I'd come home and it was fresh in my mind, kind of like riding the high from the movie. So
that's hardcore, man.
Good time to do it, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows when I'll get this one up, but I'm seeing it pretty soon after it comes out. So I'm gonna try to do it as quickly as I can.
Cool.
And then I think we'll have something up on comicbook.com as well, right, Justin?
Yep, we will.
Put something together for that, yeah. So
oh yeah.
We'll do like a written something for there, for sure.
And link in videos. It'll be fun. But
yes.
I don't know. I would honestly, I think I would up mine from 95 to say it's going to get 100. It's going to get 100 this weekend. Just 100? Because like the buzz, I've been like, just throughout the day, I've heard people at places talking about it that shouldn't be talking about comic book movies, and it's because of the Joker. More so than anything, I've heard people be like, "There's a new Joker. You gonna go see that new Joker movie?" They're not even calling it Suicide Squad. They're calling it the new Joker movie.
Interesting.
Yeah, and when you look at Will Smith, Go ahead, Jesse.
Go ahead. I was gonna say if you look at some of the non-spoiler reviews, they're talking about the Joker doesn't have as big of a role in this movie as you would think. He's more on the periphery. And that was kind of one of the things they were saying was that, you had this great character, it's legendary in the DC universe, and yet he's kind of like stuck kind of like on the periphery of the movie. It didn't have as much screen time as some people would have liked, so.
Yeah, but I think everybody's using Harley Quinn as a sales pitch for this movie because she has such a cult following, but that's actually a really good point, Justin. I think that the Joker's going to probably lure in quite a few people, but what I was going to say is with Will Smith won't typically do a movie if he doesn't have a lot of confidence in it, especially with his experiences with like Wild Wild West, and I think that there was talk that he turned down Independence Day. He said it was a conflict of schedule or something like that, but that movie pretty much bombed. But you know, somebody like Will Smith isn't going to do a movie unless he's thinking it's going to do pretty well.
Yeah, and they say he actually has a pretty, you know, it opens with him, I guess, you know, his character and, you know, Deadshot and his history. So he has a pretty big role in it. Big E's is saying it's like Deadpool all over again, and that Justin's right, and people at his job who are not comic book people are going to see it. He says even his mother's going to go see it. So
Awesome.
yeah.
I don't know.
How
Maybe
about you,
maybe
Chris?
that's what it does. Maybe it'll give like that, you know, broad cross appeal to people because there's so many different characters in it. Maybe there will be somebody for everybody, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably. I mean,
yeah.
that's what I think too. I mean, the best part that you can say about it is that, other than, I mean, and Harley Quinn doesn't have a ton of backstory yet at this point. I mean, she hasn't been around for a super long time, but it's a bunch of other characters that you know you really haven't seen yet. So it's something that you can, you know, like you said, kind of something for everybody. Something where you're discovering these characters, most of them for the first time in a movie. So, you know, I think it's going to be something where it'll definitely hold your attention. If it's done right, it's going to be really good. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, and it almost has to do well, right? This is kind of like resetting the tone for the DC universe going forward, right? We had Batman versus Superman, which was like dark and gloomy and, you know, angsty and like, you know, not fun, dare I say it. But, you know, this kind of like it needs to change the tone for the whole universe, right? You know, Justice League is after this, everything else is after this. So, you know, this movie, it almost has to do well. And I'm not talking about, you know, financially, just, you know, in viewers' minds, their perception of it. Right?
And keep in mind it's a PG-13, so you know you're probably going to have a lot more younger people compared to the Deadpool rated R movie. So you know this could be a surprise. It could be a big turnout.
Yeah. I agree. I kind of like think of it, Guardians of the Galaxy, that also came out in August, and I think that had like a $95 million opening weekend. So if this does what they're saying, it's going to crush that number. But when that movie came out, and you guys know this, you know, not many people, even us, like Guardians of the Galaxy, I don't know about you guys, but that's not really something I collected. I didn't really know much about those characters before that movie, and it ended up being like this huge, amazing blockbuster and really set the tone for the Marvel U going forward after that. So
You still there, Jesse?
Did he lock up on us?
Jesse kind of froze up on us.
My bad.
Yeah, actually, he made a really good point talking about Guardians of the Galaxy because I completely agree with him. I never really watched it. I never even collected the title. But when it came out, I think it really did catch a lot of people by surprise, and it ended up being a good movie. I remember being pretty observant of it because it came out the same time as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I'm more of a Ninja Turtles fan than a Guardians of the Galaxy, but Guardians of the Galaxy came out just a little bit prior than TMNT came out, and I remember Marvel was a little concerned with Nickelodeon putting out TMNT at the time, and what happened was, even though they came out around the same time, Guardians of the Galaxy went, they I think they got like $200 million more in money than TMNT did. So that was a good point, Jesse, because a lot of people didn't really know about it, and it turned out to be like a smash success.
Right, exactly. Am I back? Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Am I frozen?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah, you know, Guardians just really set the tone for the Marvel U. So.
I wish I would have known about Guardians, and then I would have the 2008 run that is ridiculously expensive now.
Yeah.
How expensive?
Number one is, you know, upwards of $75 to $90.
Golly.
Yeah.
Who are these people that's paying this money for these? That's what I want to know, man. Who are these idiots, man? I just don't get it. Oh, man.
It's bad because it's to the point where if I saw one for 30, I would jump on it because I'd be like, "That's amazing for one comic that's only, 8 years old." Damn it.
Yeah. I mean, and
The
that's the
next
thing.
Walking Dead.
Like no one, I mean, I had heard of Guardians of the Galaxy, as being a part of Marvel way back whenever, but just like I never knew who they were and anything like that. And then I was really just kind of given that a chance by faith. I'm like, all right, could be good, could not be good. I mean, I know Rocket Raccoon, I know Groot. I've heard of Gamora before, and I know Like I knew them all individually. I just didn't know them as that group. And then turned out it was one of the best Marvel movies to come out. So if Suicide Squad has anything like that type of atmosphere to it, it's going to be a good one. So I'm still holding on to optimism. I mean, I'm not worried about what a critic score on Rotten Tomatoes says. I'm more or less looking to just get in and see something.
Exactly right. Yeah, so we're talking about the keys and stuff for Guardians. Do you guys have any of the keys for Suicide Squad? Have you guys picked up any, or was it recently, or have you had them for a while?
No, I won an auction by accident. Actually, like I say that and it sounds stupid, but like I just put in a bid with 7 minutes left, and ended up winning. It's DC Legends #3, and it's the first time that the modern Suicide Squad minus Harley was together. So I was like, oh, cool. So I ended up winning it, and so I have that key. Along with that line, if you were able to pick that one up, you'd want to get DC Legends #1. That's the first appearance of Amanda Waller.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I was gonna say once this news broke free, I went and got a whole bunch of copies of DC Legends #1, not even knowing really anything about #3 being the first appearance of the new Suicide Squad. Actually, but you know what though, Chris? If you read that, it's like a 6-issue story run, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you read that story run, there's actually a lot of first appearances of characters, especially in that first issue, not just Amanda Waller. They're like C or D or E list type characters. But like one of them is God, I forget his name. There's 2 guys on the cover. It's their first appearances, but you have probably like 3 or 4 first appearances within that little 6-issue run. So it's still relatively cheap to get for people, in my opinion. But I read the first 2, and it wasn't bad. But it's definitely a good pickup, I think. I think a 9.8 #1, well, you can get for anywhere from $80 to $100. And I think that if I forget the actress that's playing Amanda Waller, if she does a good job, that also could raise interest in that first issue as well.
Yeah, they're saying she's more badass than Nick Fury. They call her the Wall. Watch. Yeah, Amanda the Wall Waller.
Nice. I don't have any Suicide Squad keys, I don't think. I've got a few of the newer runs, but I haven't gone back and tried to get the 87 run or anything like that. I'm just going into the movie and hoping it's good. Maybe then I'll go back.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, I guess with Killer Croc being in it, if you have his first appearance, if you have first appearance of Katana, or first appearance of trying to think, first appearance Suicide Squad #1, or if you have obviously first appearance of Holly and all that type of stuff, those are all be considered keys, I guess. Would Suicide Squad #1 New 52 be considered a key? I mean, seeing as how it has all the value and everything with it right now.
Why not? I think it'd be a key. I mean, anything with $100 is somewhat of a key.
Yeah.
Looking at the chat, Marky says that Brave and the Bold issue #200 is the first appearance of Katana. I know Katana's origin story is in what is that? It's not Batman and Friends. Batman and the Outsiders. Batman and the Outsiders, issue 11 or 12 or 12 or 13. You get an origin story of Katana, 2-issue run.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, Biggie says he had that same book.
Yeah. I mean, the only one I have is just, that DC Legends. That's the only one I have out of those. But I mean, the hard part with that too is that, if you're trying to go back and get some of the keys, some of them are more expensive. Like the first appearance of Killer Croc is also tied in with first appearance of Jason Todd. So, that's starting to gain some heat. And then, first appearance of I think it's Enchantress. She's her appearance is a little older, so you can still get that, I think, for around $50 or so. But the only ones that are really expensive is just I mean, if you're gonna go back and try to get the original Suicide Squad, first appearance and stuff like that, I mean, you have to go back, I think, to early Silver Age. Or, I mean, or Golden Age.
Way back.
Yeah, like Deadshot's first appearance, he's actually a really old character.
Mm-hmm. So then let me ask you guys a question, seeing as how I would have to believe that DC is going to still put these type of movies out regardless of, well, I ain't going to say regardless. I mean, obviously, if Suicide Squad completely bombs, then I don't see them putting out another movie for quite a while. But if it does halfway decent, or if they see that there's some hope, they'll probably do another one and then maybe a third one. So do you guys think that the keys are cheap enough to where you should still go out and get them? Or do you think that they've reached their peak, or does it depend entirely on the success of the movie?
Unfortunately, with everything what it is, I would say I think it does depend. I mean, for those books to keep gaining value, I think they may have actually peaked unless the movie does really well. If there's more, if there is buzz for a sequel, then yeah, they'll go up higher. But I think for now, I mean, I can't say that for all of them. I mean, some of them will go up and continue to gain value, but I think for some of the lesser known people, it's not really gonna hop up too high.
And that's what I was thinking, because everybody's so focused on Harley Quinn, and that's like a $1,000 to $2,000 book.
Yeah.
Well, you could still get the first appearance of Killer Croc for relatively cheap.
Yep.
The first appearance of the Enchantress, which you said is relatively cheap, so on and so forth. So this might be a good opportunity for people who are speculators to maybe get those key appearances of these B and C characters while they're still relatively cheap, because if the movie is successful, best believe they're going to come out with 2 more films for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and some solo films too, I would imagine. You can get, I'm looking now, you can get a Suicide Squad #1, the 80s run, a graded copy for less than $100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Get it now. Get it before Friday.
Exactly.
Yeah. If the movie does well, man, it's gonna be so now that book's $250, and it's just like fuck. And that's all.
Exactly.
When you go on eBay, that's what people are putting on there. It's just like first appearance, Suicide Squad. You know what I mean? They just plaster every last little bit. So it's just like either new collectors or people that just maybe have no idea and like, oh, this is collectors that I'm gonna go buy it. So it's a good time to be an eBay seller. I'm telling you, like if you have keys that just throw that movie's title in there, you're all good. I've seen so many things with Iron Fist, like well before there was even any buzz about it. Like Netflix series possibly in the works, and this, and then as soon as it's announced, every Iron Fist book, no matter if Iron Fist sneezes in a book, they'll be like, he's got a Netflix series, it's coming,
Yeah. I think that's his elbow. Buy the book.
well, let me take you guys back just a little bit. Go back to Wolverine's origins.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? 2007, 2008, something like that.
Yeah.
Once Deadpool was revealed, like the rest is history. Deadpool just went everywhere and just blew completely out of the water. So even though a lot of folks might be on Harley or Joker, one of these other characters could pick up some steam.
Yeah.
So it just all depends on their performance. You never know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
First Deadshot, Detective 474. That's less than $100. First Killer Croc, that's a $50 book. Batman 358. So get these before Thursday, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you want them, go get them.
What was the first appearance of Katana again? Brave and the Bold 200?
That's what Martin says, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll check that one out. I would like to have that one, so I'll check that one out.
Yeah.
Strange Adventures. It looks like 178. Second Enchantress.
Yep.
I'm looking, just cruising through these here.
Yeah, and that predates
another thing.
Deadman, I think.
Go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say, I think that issue predates the first appearance of Deadman, so it's kind of an older book, but you know, I think it's Silver Age.
Yeah. I get Flash 117, first Captain Boomerang. That's a $180 book.
Yeah.
Didn't Captain that's all. How much is it worth?
180. Well, that's what it's listed for. I'm not looking at the sold listings. I'm looking at it's 180 as I buy it now.
Oh wow, I thought it'd be going for more than that. Well, one of the things I was going to say is that really, if anybody's a hardcore Suicide Squad fan, really just look at those key characters that are tied throughout that title, and then just go and get those first appearances. If this movie becomes successful, kind of like how I think Marky pointed out when what was it? Was it Darkseid that was going to be in the that was tied to the Batman versus Superman, and then because he knew Darkseid, he was talking about what's the character, the main villain that they said is going to be in the new Justice League?
Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf, yeah. So he knew right then that okay, Steppenwolf is going to be tied somehow, and sure enough, man, Steppenwolf's. I think Marky said he said don't pay no more than $10 for that book. And now the book is like going for like over $100 or something. So if you know your comic book universe, you know pretty well, you can pretty much predict who's going to be in future movies if this movie is successful.
Yeah, I mean, on the Marvel side of things, looking for the new bad guys or the new big villains that are going to be in it after Thanos is done with. Look at the Doctor Strange villains. I think it's going to be someone who's more on like the mystical side. So look at like a Dormammu or I really do think it's going to be Mephisto, and his first appearance is Silver Surfer #3, and it's kind of an expensive book. You can get it. Certain there's certain times you'll see it under $100, and there's a lot of times you're gonna see it for more than that. But just like Edwin was saying, if you can predict it, if you can be ahead of it, I mean that's the way you'll make out on these deals, and then you're like, all right, I mean, just so happen to have 4 or 5 copies of said book, who wants one, and then cash out on eBay would be great. But it's just sometimes anticipating it's kind of tough because they do kind of throw a curveball here and there, and then sometimes there's people like me personally, I don't know Steppenwolf really at all. I know Darkseid, I just don't know like all his lieutenants and generals like that. That's just something that I never got ultra into. So, but yeah, had I known Steppenwolf back in the day, I'd have been like, oh yeah, pick that up. So.
Yeah. That's a good point. Check this one out. This is 1959, Brave and the Bold 25. Yep.
That's the one.
Silver Age, $2,700.
Wow.
But don't forget, there's $4.59 for shipping on that too.
Oh. Will they take a check? Oh, they won't. Oh, I'll send them a check.
Charging me that much.
They could do it if they do free shipping. I mean, the shippings would kill you.
Seriously. I mean, free shipping. I'll buy it now. No.
Jesse, go to the advanced search and see what they've been selling for. Because, see, I go by that, but now I go by the advanced search just to see what they're actually selling for.
Yeah.
Make them an offer. Just make them like a ridiculous offer. Like, yeah, I'll pay you $35 for that book.
Yeah.
You like no reply.
Declined. Never to be heard from again. How do you do advanced search? Advanced.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it gives
Yeah,
finance
just go to the top
options.
Right. Oh yeah, man, just another way to get into debt. Buying expensive comics.
Oh my gosh, I don't. That would be horrible. Don't do that.
Let me tell you guys a quick story. You guys watch Comic Book Men?
Yeah. I haven't this season, but I've watched in the past. Yeah.
Well, the artist, not the artist, but the art dealer. I forget his name, Anthony's Comics or whatever.
Sold.
He was at my LCS and he had a couple McFarlane pages, man. and these pages were nice, but these pages were like $5,000 and $6,000, man. But this guy, man, this guy was just a hardcore dealer, and he just was not. If anybody watched my past video, man, the guy was just kind of a douche, and he just wasn't, you know, very nice unless you had like a lot of money or whatever. But he definitely wasn't nice to his coworkers. But just the amount of money that some of these pages that he was asking for, man, I'm just like, God, man, do I really want to go into debt for a comic book page by McFarlane? You know what I'm saying? So it's like a whole other level of comic book collecting. So
yeah,
you definitely gotta have some discipline and watch yourself when it comes to buying comic books, because you know you spend what was that price, Jesse? Like $2,700 on a book, and you know you have no idea if that's going to retain its value if you spend that kind of loot on a comic book.
Yeah.
You get a low grade, really low grade copy for just under $400. I don't know if you can see this. There's a 1.0, $385. There's a PGX 5.0, $1,500.
Oh, that was a steal right there. The 5.5, $450.
Yeah. Well,
actually, why don't you give a plug to what's his name, Golden King of the Golden State? You know, Jesse, you know what he bought recently.
Oh yeah. I
mean, I was thinking about that. I was like, man, there's no way you got that book less than $18,000 to $25,000. If you guys don't know, Chris and Justin, he bought an Amazing Fantasy number 15, CGC rated 5.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. If I bought that, I would be like out for a year. Be like, see you guys, shutting down the channel.
Right.
But then he goes out like 2 days later and he's filling up a freaking short box at the comic shop already.
Can you imagine like your wife or your girlfriend just kicking your butt for spending that kind of money?
Yeah, right. That would be
we can't live in that.
But I saw one at a local con of mine. It was a 4.5. I think I won it $15,000. I was just like $15,000. I was like, it was just crazy. It's just like I mean, I'm not sure how much King of the Golden State got it for, but I mean, I know that when I was at that con and the guy was like, yeah, 15 grand. I'm like, oh yeah, let me just take out my wallet real quick and Jesus. I mean, the confidence you have to have, and on top of that too, like the savings and money you have to be able to say, you know what, 15 grand, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take, just that's gotta be. I mean, you either have to be rich or you just have to, be like, look, you know what, it's an investment and I know it's gonna come back. I mean, that book is easy to deal with just because it's first appearance of Spider-Man, but I mean. Other books where it's just, you're kind of taking a shot, though. I mean, it's going to be a little scary making that big of a purchase.
That actually sounds about retail price, because I saw CGC 1.5 at a con, and we were kind of going through this back and forth on the Comic Book Fanatics Facebook page, and they were all telling me that retail at grade was about $4,000 to $6,000. And
wow.
So for, what do you say, a 4.5 for 15?
Yep.
That sounds pretty much retail right there, or maybe even just under. But to your point, it could be a good investment, for the future, because they're not like books like that aren't going down just because they're so rare.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly, and those are the books that are going to retain their value. They grew in value or price, whatever you want to say, organically. It wasn't sort of artificial, like take the Harley Quinns that we have now, where they just automatically are saying, okay, 2,000 or 5,000 for the print run. They're trying to like force the supply and demand ratio there. So I think like some of these books are not going to retain the value or increase like a lot of these older books have.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
I agree with that 100%. Just because, I mean, when you really think about it, it's just like how many Amazing Fantasy 15s are still sitting around. I mean, probably very few, if any. I mean, even one that's beaten with the cover off, still going to cost you over $1,000, which is just like I mean, and that's the thing that I know all of us as collectors hope for. It's just like a book that we bought for, let's say, $1, one day is like a 15. I mean, if you bought that book way back in the day for 12 cents, I mean, it's just like you're laughing all the way to the bank when you see it's like 15 grand or better if you have a better copy and it's graded.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I don't know where I saw it or read it, but there was somebody talking about it was a really poor copy. Like the cover was detached, the staples all rusty or whatever, if there were even any. But it was an AF-15 that they had found in like somebody's attic, like right? It's just like going to your grandmother's house and like it's like, oh, can you go get this from the attic? And you go up there and there's a AF-15 just laying there.
That's like stuff people dream about, man.
A friend of mine, it's actually funny. A friend of mine has Daredevil #1, and it's beaten to death. I mean, beaten to death. And he's got it sitting in a box with just a bunch of other comics. And so, like, what he did is like he took basically, it's kind of like one of the bigger comic bags, and just kind of threw it in with like 3 other books. And I was just like, he took it out and let me see it, and I was like, can I give you a bag and a board for this, please? Like, can I just take care of this? He's just like, it's all right, just right there. I'm just gonna go put it back in the attic. I was like, please don't put it back. And I'm sitting there freaking out with him, like, please. I said, you do realize that even in this shape, he's like, it's not worth anything. I was like, it's like a $400 book, even in this shape. Just let me give you a bag and board, please, please. And he's just like, it kills me because it's just like, dude, it's a book I'd love to have in my collection, but it's just like he has it and doesn't even care about it. It's just like, oh, it kills me sometimes.
Okay, so if you don't mind, let me ask everybody on the panel this question. You're at a mom and pop store or you're at a garage sale and you get like an Amazing Spider-Man 1 or a Daredevil #1 and they have it for sale for like $5. You snap the thing up real quick, or do you let them know what it is that they actually have and pay more for it?
Man, if it's like $5, I'm gonna tell them it's worth more as I hand them $5, and then maybe give them a little bit more on top of that. But I'm not gonna go, what are you selling this for? It's like $7,000. No.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
I mean, as much as like I smile at this question just because like in a way I think everyone would come off feeling a little bad, like kind of took this guy's the guy's a just gold mine just sitting here and he's just gonna. I mean, but I'm not gonna sit there and tell him like, yeah, that's like a book that's worth a whole bunch of money. So like, here's your $5, and and then I'll just go off and be like, probably make a video and be like, yeah, I took advantage of this guy today, but it's messed up. But hey, I get Amazing Spider-Man #1, so I mean, just like
yeah.
At this point, and here's what I say about that too, and I know that like not everybody knows about it, and but at this point, there's so many resources. Like you easily could just go online and just be like, all right, so Amazing Spider-Man #1, and just go on eBay and find out, just like, what's this? And if you saw what it was going for, you'd be like, I'm not selling this for no, just like one of those things. But the other thing that's dangerous about that though too is even if someone's like, oh, this is worth a bunch of money, they're gonna take it to a comic book store and still get screwed. Like, oh, I'll give you $200 for that. So it's just like, lesser of two evils. I mean, if it's gonna be someone who's gonna, take it to a comic store, get paid maybe like, 1/10 or maybe like 1/10 of 1% of the value, and then watch them put it in the window for like $7 grand the next day, I think it's better coming with me. I mean, shit. I'll display it. I'll have it for a long time. I'll cherish it, and then if things get rough and I need to sell it, I'll sell it. But at least for the most part, I think you can go with the happy conscience knowing that I gave you the $5 you're looking for and I didn't cash out immediately with it. So.
I look at these shows like Pawn Stars and Comic Book Men, and they let people know what it is that they actually have. Yeah. And if you're the type of person that believes in karma, would something like this? Would you think that something like this would come back around to you? So there's just a lot of variables, I guess, that you could think about. Big East Comics has snatched it up quick.
Yeah. So what if this was karma rewarding you? This was your karma reward. Finding it for $5.
That's exactly the way I look at it. Man, I suffered a lot. Shit. This is my coming around.
Where's my karma? Yeah.
You know what's funny though? You mentioned
what
karma.
I would do.
Oh, go ahead, man.
I would tell them. I would say, you have an AF-15 or you have a Spider-Man 1. I would let them know, definitely. But I would do it with the window down, the tires laying down some rubber, my hand on the wheel, and I'm going like this, driving away.
Yeah, because
Let 'em
being in
know.
a situation like that, is it any different? Okay, so I was looking at Huey's comics. He put a comment. He said he got an Amazing Adventures, Batman Adventures number 12 for $2. I had the same experience. I got a Batman Adventures number 12 for like $1. In a way, it really isn't much different than if you found a key book like that at a comic shop. You know, they should have known their inventory. They should have known what they had, and they missed out, you know, for whatever reason. Would that same way of thinking apply to, you know, an old granny who just found her son's comic books in the attic?
Maybe it kind of depends on how much it would put them out or what kind of difference that would make in their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if it's, I can see that as well. But I mean, if I'm being 100% honest, though, I mean, it's just like if you're selling it and you're not like, I mean, if you're just like, yeah, I'm just selling a couple of things, or you know, then I don't feel bad at that point. But I do definitely, you know, I can understand like if it's just like, yeah, we're gonna lose our house, and you know, but I have these comics I'm gonna sell them for $2. I mean, it's just like at that point, I would say, all right, look, you know, I mean, that's an extreme situation, but I'd say, you know, how much do you need? Because I mean, I'm not gonna pay a house off for you, but this book right here, and you know, look through some other ones, and like you know, these 3-4 books here will buy your house straight up for you. So, you know, but yeah, I mean, if it's just one of those situations where it's just like, yeah, my son has a bunch of junk, he moved out, and I just don't want this anymore. More than happy to take it off your hands. You know, I have no problem with that, and I'm not gonna feel bad. What Evan was saying though about comic book men, they actually have that same exact attitude. Like you can almost see them when they have somebody on the show that's like, yeah, I got this, you know, I don't know what it is. It's just, you know, some guy named Iron Man #1. I was never into it as a kid, and then just like you just start seeing them start drooling, like, oh, okay, yeah. So does like $50 sound fair? I mean, you know, and they'll look at it and it'll be like perfect condition. They'll be like, yeah, you know, this is probably about like $50, you know. Yeah, $50. Well, I was only hoping to get 20. Well, there you go, sir. Have a good. And then the next thing you know, they come back and they, you know, this it's sold, and then they're back in the radio studio. Yeah, dude, I ripped this. I mean, I ripped them off, but they're just like, you know, I couldn't believe that he was happy for that, you know, $50. So I was just like, you know, and then go ahead and, you know. So you can tell like, there's plenty of people that do it. You know what I mean? It's not something that, you know, I don't think anybody should necessarily feel bad about. It's just one of those things where, you know, you knowing what it's worth, it's you know, you know you're doing kind of a rotten thing. But I mean, in the end, though, I mean, it's more money than they had when they went in, and you know what, you know, they feel good getting the money that they're getting. So I say let them have it. You know.
Yeah, I think Walt said once that one of his worst enemies is an educated seller or an educated buyer.
Oh yeah, and he can't wait. Like he'll argue with you all day, and that's the thing. Like the people that walk out, you know, those are the ones that be like, oh, like you know, he'd be like, yeah, like you know, I can only give you, you know, for this Hulk 181, I can only give you $300 for it. Like you look at all this, and the guy's like, fuck you, dude. Like this is in perfect condition. I want $2,000 for this. He's like, oh, well, we don't have that kind of money in the store, and we can't. It's like, you know what? Kevin Smith is your friend. You got that kind of money anytime you need it, motherfucker. Give him a call.
All right.
So it's just that's my thoughts on it. So it's just, but yeah, like Walt loves getting the people that don't know shit, and then it's just like, you know, I mean, no offense to Walt, I understand he's a businessman. You got to keep your business going, but it's just kind of funny watching it though.
Well, if you think about it, if you do want to allow your conscience to come into the equation and dealing with, you know, an old couple, what you can do is, if you are knowledgeable, like you said, Chris, you tell the lady, like, look, your book is worth a lot more, but if you go to an online auction or if you go to a shop, you're only going to get, you know, 25% or at most half of what it's worth, you know. So you can kind of throw all that stuff out there just to get them to think, because once people start thinking, once they get those dollar signs in their eyes, then they'll just, you know, that'll just overshadow everything. But if you can start adding things for them to really think about, maybe you could still allow your conscience to be a factor and still at the same time come up with a price that the both of you guys can agree on.
Yeah, I think that's probably like the best way to go about it. And then you'd be like, you know, hopefully find something that's in their wheelhouse. Just because, you know, the other thing that it kind of, you know, when you deal with people like that, like you said, like they get the dollar signs in their eyes. So it's just like, well, now I'm gonna look up and see how much it's really worth. And you know, if you forewarn them, you're only gonna get like about half of this value. You know, because there'll be people that sit there and be like, well, I'm not selling this for anything less than $5,000 because that's what it says it's worth. Well, all right, if no one's gonna buy it from you for $5,000, then it ain't worth what, you know. It's just the way it goes. Like something's only worth as much as someone's willing to pay for it. So I think right now that book's worth $200. Take it or leave it, you know.
Yeah, and that might be good in a situation where you have your phone with you, so you can just show them, like, look, this is what they're going for. Because I've heard of stories of people who come with like Superman from 1987 issue #1, thinking that it's the first appearance of Superman, and it's not. You know.
Wow.
Like I mean, that would be kind of funny. I've never heard anyone tell that story like that. So, I mean, if I ever saw something like that, I would have to, like, I mean, because the first thing, I have the first appearance of Superman. It'd be like, don't say that aloud. Someone's gonna beat the shit out of you and take it. That's like $1 million book.
Oh man, no, I was watching Living Dead Comics, and he tells stories and stuff, and that was actually one of his experiences. Somebody came with a comic book from 1987, Superman #1, trying to say that it's the first appearance, and these people don't realize, they look at comics like, oh, I got these comics in a long box, there must be worth thousands, not realizing that, okay, you books are from the 90s, they're not worth the paper that they're printed on. I might give you 10 cents a piece for them. So.
Oh, you see it all the time. Like people come up, like if you go on Craigslist, there's people that have like, oh, like I have like you know 1,500 comics, just looking for $1 a piece, and it's just like, yeah, and you look at them and they're all like 90s books. It's just like, yeah, no. Like this box is probably worth about like $30 at the most, man. Like.
Yeah, I love those Craigslist ads because they'll always say at the bottom, I know what these are worth. Okay.
No, you don't. Oh,
Yeah.
you don't.
You know, all you're showing me is like image stuff from the 90s.
I know, man, I know.
Look, the first appearance of Youngblood is some big shit, all right? 1992, that was the shit, man. It's just like, no, it's not. Not even close. It wasn't even big then.
Yeah, look at this Wildcats with a chromoly cover. Ooh.
Collector's edition.
Right? But yeah, it's, I mean, so that's a crapshoot. Though I will say that I bought a Batman collection off of Craigslist, and that was one of my catalysts to getting back into books like a few years ago. So that was the only one that ever worked out that was a deal. Everything else has been not even worth emailing about.
I like in the chat, Biggie said that him and Manny are gonna go to the secret stash a little later this month and just give them do some shit. I think that would be hilarious. It definitely won't make the show, but it's gonna be hilarious. So I will look forward to that video. Biggies, please do it and please video it. Just don't get arrested doing it, please. But oh man, but yeah, it's always just fun, going through that scenario of like, if you had this, just because, it's such a, off scenario to get. I mean, it's a scenario that we all want, going to a yard sale or, garage, anything, a flea market, something where people are like, yeah, I get this, just this book that's, just sitting here, $2 book, here you go, and it's just like, shit, that's like the first appearance of Robin. Yeah, I'll take that. Like, it's just funny. It's just like, everybody wants that scenario, so it's just like, I'm still waiting for mine, and hopefully I get it at some point. That would be great.
Biggie's asked a question. So Action Comics #1, 5.5 CGC grade. It's going out for auction. What do you think it will sell for? Okay, it's Heritage Auctions. But I'm going to show you something, and I'm going to ask you a question first. Okay, here's the book. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. So what do you think? It's actually, there's some bids on it right now. What do you think the current bid is for this book?
Well, we can
see
kind
it.
of see
Label,
it.
right?
So it says...
Can you see it?
Yeah.
555,000.
Oh, okay. So you can see that part. Dang it!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but with that, though, is...
What do you,
so is that like the starting bid?
I don't know.
I mean, they just basically put, 100,000 times the grade.
Yeah, I guess that's where it's starting. Where do you think it will end, though? To kind of get back to his question. A book like that. Yeah.
I mean, depending on how. I mean, I would say around 750,000. So somewhere in that range, just because I mean those books are so rare, and people with deep pockets want to have those.
Yeah.
So I say 750, maybe even 800K. I say 750.
I'm bidding on it. Watch.
There you go.
No.
Don't bid on it.
It's just like, did you
win that?
I don't understand.
Well, if you guys remember a couple years ago when the CGC 9.0 came out,
Mm-hmm.
I got it on Instagram. That was one of the first Instagram things that I posted. That book ended up selling on eBay for over $3 million, but it was a 9.0. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I would have to guess. You guys got to consider the rarity of something like that. So even though it's a 5.5, it's a low grade. Honestly, I don't see any reason why that book wouldn't sell for over $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it would be funny to find out. Like, I mean, the actual amount that are actually left in the world. You know what I mean? I mean, it would be tough to do, but I mean, that's something that I think would be really interesting to know how many of them actually exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many of them are on the
9.0 sold for over $3.2 million.
That's crazy.
Yeah, with this book being what it is, I could see it. Just like you guys are saying, there's so few of them left in the world. Even if it's a 5.5, it's still this book from 75 years ago.
Yeah.
And there's a handful left. So if it's starting at 500,000, I'd say it'll go over $1 million, just because of what it is, And hopefully
someone with
not
deep
Nicolas
pockets
Cage.
is getting that. Mm-hmm.
Hopefully not Nicolas Cage. He's owned and sold too many of these. Okay.
I'm thinking that it'd be like a Chuck Krasinski type of guy who ends up winning it.
Yeah.
I saw the picture of him at that Las Vegas con. He's just sitting there, just like holding up like a bunch of comics, like it's like Hulk #1 and a few other ones. He's just like just buying, and he just, it's funny too. Like when he ends up, if he ever ends up going broke at any point, they're gonna be able to say like, so comics is what did it to you? Like, yeah,
No. That's the thing, man. That's every time he gets divorced, he has to sell his collection, and then he goes and starts his collection again.
Jesus.
That's he's had like Action Comics #1 before, and had to sell everything to pay off like divorce settlements and stuff like that.
Well, that seems like a good reason to get divorced.
Sounds like he needs to stay single.
Seriously,
Yeah, or
you know what? I have girlfriends now. I don't get married. No one's legally obligated to me anymore. Goodbye.
yeah.
Jesus. But I mean, that's the thing though. When you got money like that, like you don't care. It's just like that's the thing that kills me with it. It's just like I mean, who's to say that? I mean, and I'm trying to think like I mean, he could definitely afford that 9.0, but I mean, it's just like when it just slips out of your fingers so quickly because you made a mistake and married the wrong person. It's just like that's insane. Like it's just just to know that you throw it away, bring it back, throw it away, bring it. It's just like I mean, at that point, are you even a collector anymore? Or are you just basically an art buyer or something?
Yeah. But you got to also consider that books like these don't come around often. So even if you have a figure in your mind, you have to seriously consider going above and beyond that because of the rarity of these type of books.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the #1 with it. I mean, that's why all the stuff from the '90s and everything just it's gonna be like I'll probably be in my 70s. By the time some of that stuff even gets a little bit of heat, and I'm like, oh, like great, it's worth $35 now. Cool. It's it's gonna stay in that price. Just but I mean
it's gonna be like a tank of gas. 40 years
just,
from now.
I mean, it's just one of those things where, like, people. I mean, the only reason why I won't say the only reason, but like, the fact that it's that old and everything, and people just didn't care about them in those days, like that helped with comics. Like, in a way, I do wish that things were at the point where maybe they didn't print as many, and just it made them that much more of a collectible item, so that if you were looking for value, you would at least have it, eventually. But I mean, the hard part is just, seeing that everybody else has that one book. Like even on New Mutants '98. Like I mean, it's got that value, and it's not going to go away just because Deadpool's so popular, and I think it's there to stay. But there's so many of them out there. It's just like it's really not that hard to find one, and so I feel like at one point or another the price is just gonna. I mean, the price will keep going up, but you're never going to be able to sell it just because, I mean, there's literally millions out there.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because this was a conversation on Comic Book Fanatics, how they were talking about, if you look at Batman Adventures number 12, you can't get that book raw and high grade for less than $1,000. And one of the reasons what they said is that there was actually fewer print run for that Batman Adventures 1200 or number 12 than there was for that New Mutants number 98.
Yep. Because no one knew how that was going to sell. I mean, Batman Adventures, that's when they were trying to toy around with the idea of having comics for kids, pretty much. Because I remember that. If you saw Adventures after the actual title, it meant it was a kid's book. And so that's pretty much why I never picked it up. I was like, whatever. I mean, because I could have had that way back whenever. And I mean, had I bought it up until, maybe 6 years ago, it wouldn't have been worth anything. So it's just, one of those things where, you roll the dice and some people won on that, some people didn't, so, but yeah, it's just like, 98, it just, I mean, if it ever gets to the point where it's $1,000 book raw, I mean, I would probably be about 120 years old. Although it had to been like a humongous bonfire where they burn them all, but who knows?
Yeah, you'll be that old elderly person that we're going to buy the collection from and try to screw them out of the valuable books.
And be pissed. I know the value of this book, Sonny. Don't play with me. But
yeah, it's funny, like New Mutants '98. That was $5, $6, $7. That was $750 copy, I think, more than that. But it settled down quite a bit since the movie. But it's still, $250 easy, right?
Yeah.
So.
And then 87 now is gonna get up there and everything, and same deal. I mean, that one actually 98 doesn't have a second printing. 87 does. So it's just like one of those things where it's just if you really want the story and you don't care about the value, if you just want to say you own the book, just pick up the second print because it's literally like pennies compared to what you're gonna pay for the actual first print of 87.
Yeah.
Right, and it's gold, right?
It's gold. Like, I mean, it's the same story inside. Same bad Rob Liefeld art and everything. So, because that's when he was coming into his stride, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Good old Rob.
Hey, y'all quit messing with Rob, man. I like Rob.
I'm going to say this much. For as much as people should, he can't draw this, he's a piece, hey, look, he made a lot of money doing it. So for a guy who can't draw, what? Let's put it this way. You look across everything, right? You go to the NBA, not everyone's Jordan. There's a few guys out there like Brian Scalabrine who would just make the team, sit there and collect millions. That's just what they do. And that's all Rob did. He just made the team, drew well enough that he can get, a character onto a piece of paper that, and it can tell a story. And that's about it. He didn't have to sit there and be all fancy like Jim Lee. He's like, that's Jim Lee. He's Michael Jordan.
I hope to God the anchor and the colorist can cover up some of his crap.
Exactly. Yeah. He's just like, he's like, I'm just, I'm just a rookie, or whatever. I'm just a guy who just signed a contract. I come in at, the last 30 seconds of the game and I sit down. That's what I do.
Yeah, he's like one of the guys they pull off of like.
He's like Robert Horry.
Yeah, or
he's got
just,
like 6 rings, and he's not even a big time player.
And he's he's self-taught, so
exactly. He's just like, I mean, and if not for nothing else, he, I think, gives people hope in that way. I mean, as much people are like, well, he didn't, he's just not that good. Yeah, but like you say, he's self-taught. Like he taught himself. You know what I mean? He got himself to that point. He didn't have, a background in art, none of that shit. He just went and just liked drawing comics, went out there, made a big enough name for himself, and now he can, just retire off his character and say, like, yeah, I created Deadpool. I'll sign you a book for $50. Let's do it. you know, and he still gets asked to make covers and stuff like that. So it's just like, you know, for everyone who shits on him, just understand, you know, you're shitting on a guy he's laughing his way to the bank. Every time you say something bad about him, he's just like, I get more money than you.
Yeah, really. And if you look at Jim Lee and Justin, I see that that Uncanny X-Men, what is that, 252 behind you?
Which one?
256.
256. Yeah. If you look at okay, so we all think that Jim Lee is a good artist, and he is, but really what makes him so awesome is that he has had Scott Williams as his inker for the past 25 plus years, and he will not do anything else unless Scott Williams is inking him, because Scott Williams, for whatever reason, just brings out the best of Jim Lee. Now, I'm not saying that Jim Lee cannot ink, but Scott Williams has always been tied to Jim Lee for like the past 20 to 25 years. So I have to give credit to the inker in this case, because if you got a good inker, you're going to stick with him just like Jim Lee has, and he's going to make you millions upon millions of dollars just like he has over the past years.
Because they had all the mistakes. That's the thing. Like, you know, as much as people don't realize, I don't know if you guys took. I mean, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Joe Madureira, or Madureira, however you want to say his name. Yeah. And you know, when you look at his drawings, his ink puts like these humongous lines around everything, and it covers up all these big mistakes. I mean, but you know, Joe has some really great art. Like, he's done some really awesome things. But I mean, you know, he's got the right guy behind him, just inking them up and covering those things up. So it's just like, you know, once you have that good team in place, you get that one person that, you know, meshes well with you, and it just kind of complements your style and makes it look that much more beautiful than what it is. You know, you got to stick with them.
Right, exactly. Another good example would be Nia Ruffino with J. Scott Campbell. They're always together doing it. And yeah, I absolutely agree with you guys. They don't nearly get enough credit as they deserve. Even the colorists too. Yep. You know, a lot of times you're walking by the shelf and you don't always see the pencil work, but that color catches your eye and you go for that book, you know, so they definitely deserve a lot more credit than they get.
Yep, the inkers and the colorists, I think, are like the linemen in football, man. They take the most beating and get no love. It's all about what happened with the quarterback, or, you know, what someone else did. It's just like, you know, it's rough being those people, but it's just like, the best part for them is that they still get to come along. I mean, like, you know, the actual creative team and everybody knows what goes into it. It's just the fans don't. The fans are just like, I don't want I don't want Tony Saragusa's autograph. I want Peyton Manning's autograph. It's like, well, I keep him upright. Like, I'm the one who keeps him safe every game. You want to, you know, not for me, he'd have a broken neck. And what happened? He had his neck broke. But it's just, you know, that's just the way it goes. It's just like, you know, you have to, you know, I mean, it's actually kind of fun when you look at it, and it's just like, you know, to see an actual art team all together, and you know, because sometimes at Comic-Con they'll go together, and it's just like to see that and just be like, yeah, like, you know, talk to this guy over here, like he does this, and then you get an actual respect for, you know, all the elements that go into making that book when you go and talk to everybody at once, and it's just, and then they'll show you some of their other stuff, and it blows you away, because it's just like, you know, and that, you know, it's really funny just like listening to them talk and just you know, really seeing what goes into all of it. So you know, respect the inkers, respect the colorists, respect the letterers. No one talks about the letterers.
Yeah, you know,
I don't think anyone knows the letterist, but
it's good that you brought that up, because lately at comic book conventions, I've been seeing colorists there, and they've been trying to kind of get their name out there, so to speak, and you do need to recognize them, because that is the first thing that you notice. You notice the colors, you don't notice the ink, and you don't even notice the pencils, because the ink masks and covers the pencils, and the color masks and covers a lot of the inks and the pencils. So you have to recognize everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Marvel actually has like a big initiative going right now where they're trying to push their colorists to, like, they're, you know, reaching out to, you know, news outlets and things like that, trying to get their colorists interviews and things like that, just to try to build up that base. I don't know if it's just something like, you know, they want, you know, if something behind the scenes is pushing that, or if it's just, you know, it's time for these people to have recognition.
It's time for everybody to have recognition. Actually, one of the owners of my comic book shop, check this out, one of the owners of my comic book shop, he actually worked on some Death of Superman, Doomsday stuff back in the early 90s. But what he did was he did a lot of the background. And I remember reading some stuff in Todd McFarlane's book. He says that a lot of times you're so focused on the characters and stuff that if you don't have time or don't prefer to do like the background, the skyscrapers, the trees and all that stuff, you can actually pay somebody else to do all that. And this guy was one of those guys. His name is Robert. He did a lot of the background stuff in the Death of Superman and Doomsday stuff, but he didn't get any credit for it.
Wow.
And so not everybody gets credit for their artwork. It's usually just your pencil, your ink, or your colors, your editor, your writer, your letterer, and like that's it. Not realizing that there's a lot of other people that actually work on the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Big team on each of these.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So I don't know who the colorist is on Harley Quinn this week or Suicide Squad, but let's try to give them some credit too when we read them, since they're on all of our lists. I was just looking at the Midtown thing, and they just have writer and artist. That's all. You know, when you look at the solicit, that's it. So.
It's the same thing in previews as well. It just kind of be like, written by this guy, you know, drawn by this one. It's just like, yeah, like, who colors it? Fuck that guy, you know? And it's just, you know, it's just one of those things where it's just, you know, I mean, with any project like that, you know, there's always going to be a bunch of people behind the scenes. So, you know, I mean, at a Comic-Con, I remember I went up to Jimmy Palmiotti. I was getting the Punisher, the Welcome Back Frank stuff, you know, signed by him. And he, like, and I wasn't even, like, thinking about it. I was like, hey, man, how's it going? Like, I saw you here, and I wanted to get this signed by you. He was like, yeah. He's like, listen, about 4 tables down, a good friend of mine, you got to go get him to sign this, too. And I was like, okay, you know, who is it? It's like, he's the guy that did these covers. His name is Tim Bradstreet. Like, go talk to him. He's really cool. And so, you know, went over and I got it done. And so it's like, you know, I got, and not even thinking about it at the time, I was like, so I got, you know, the inker and the cover artist of the book to, you know, go ahead and sign it. So I have 2 out of the 4 people that worked, you know, 2 out of the 4 main people that worked in that book. And it was just like, and then to look at Tim Bradstreet's art, like his cover work and just everything, like, he's an amazing artist. So a lot of people, like, you know, just because you do a cover, you know, there's so much more that, you know, you discover a lot more just by, you know, seeing other people on the team, just because you might just be a colorist, but you might have your own art that you do on the side that is just incredible. But, you know, for the most part, you just don't have that, you know, you don't have that platform for you to do the book just because you're working for somebody else who's already established. But, you know, you do have just a great body of work, and, you know, it just, you know, opens you up to you know, new people and just, you know, new art and other creativity that, you know, you don't get to see on a daily basis when you're just looking at, you know, the credits on the book itself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we got a couple comments here too. So Amazing Murphinator says, hashtag, gotta use the hashtag now, respect the colorist. And he says he's gonna give props in all his vids from now on to the colorist. I'm calling you out on your comment section, Murph. So
you got to, man. You got to. I'm looking at comics and stuff. He says pressers don't get any credit either. Shaking my head.
Nice.
It's true. They don't.
So when you get that 9.8, they should give credit to the presser of the book.
Right. This book was pressed out. When I got this book, it was only a 9, and this man pressed it to a 9.8, and I had to recognize it. Like that. That's funny. I like that.
All right, cool. So yeah, we were talking in the beginning about the predictions for the movie, right? Mm-hmm. Justin up to $100 million. Did any of you guys want to adjust yours?
I'm sticking with Matt. I think 90 million is a good point. I mean, if it goes past that, great. But I think it's going to be. I think it's definitely going to stay in that same range. I think 90 is a good barometer for that first weekend.
All right, we'll keep you. How about you guys?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with mine. I think I had like 83 or 85. I'm just going to stick with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to stick with that because we all looked at the movie list of the movies that are coming out this weekend along with Suicide Squad, and I don't think really any of them got a lot of marketing because I haven't heard of any of them. So I think Suicide Squad is definitely going to take number 1, but I'm still guessing around the $85 million.
Okay. Cool. And then Justin? This is his. Mine, I put 80. I'm gonna up mine. I'm gonna go 105. That's how much I'm upping mine.
Wow.
Yeah. From 80 to 105. That's a big jump.
Yeah.
But I think I can do it. So we're gonna come back to these next week, I guess, once the movie's done and the weekend's closed out and we get the numbers in.
Yeah.
So we'll see who.
So what does
see
the
who
winner
those
get?
ones
Are you going to give us something, Jesse, or what?
I'll give you credit.
I'm just
here.
messing with you, man. I'm just messing with you. It's all good. I'm just messing with you.
Well, we'll figure something out. Don't worry. Oh, Biggie's ahead. I wrote his down, so he gave his last week. 80 to 100 million. So if anybody else in the chat wants to, and I'm writing these down on a very unofficial piece of paper here. If anybody in the chat wants to give a prediction, I'll write it down here. We'll go through them next week too, for fun. So feel free to add those in. But we are at that time of the night when it's time to start winding down here, folks. It's been fun. We've been talking about a lot of things. Suicide Squad, bunch of things. It went through, and it was a good time. So it's time today to do some final closing thoughts, and as we always do, shout out somebody that you like to watch, or somebody that follows you, or some other channel, or whatever it is. But plug someone. Let's all support the community, other people. So we started with you, Chris,
Right.
at the beginning. So why don't we do that again here?
Yeah, so I want to give a shout out to Comic Dude, formerly known as Comic Noob. He's changed his name to Comic Dude just because he's been in the community for a little bit now, and becoming more knowledgeable of comics and everything. And I just want to shout him out because he's one of the just most active members that I see in the community. Always having the live shows, late night shows, always throwing videos up, during the day, whether it's about, comics that are coming out, whether it's about, different deals he sees online, or whether it's just to make people laugh and just have a good time. So, check him out. He's part of the Blasted as Stash It group. They have a live auction every Saturday, Stash It live auction. So, tons of content, tons of great stuff. Go ahead and check him out. Comic Dude. Check him out.
All right, I guess I'll go. I've been getting a lot of subscribers over the past week or so. I don't know where they're coming from, but it's kind of cool. But I want to get in this habit of shouting out guys who've been subscribing to me recently. So I want to give a shout out to Pilgrim Cobra, Blast It or Stash It, just like you mentioned, Chris, Ben Grimm, Aiden Cantrell, Tino Man 1980. The Doom 143, Daniel Garvey, and Trinity Comics. Shout out to all you guys for subscribing and for checking all of us out if you are watching us.
Cool. That's a good list. Bunch of good people there. All right. Now we have Justin, of course.
Yeah.
Could be next, right?
yeah, maybe. I'm in that line somewhere. But yeah, I'd say, the same thing that Edwin was saying is, I've also, I think in part, and big thanks to this, being on this panel with you guys talking about these comics is, kind of opened us up for more people to see us. So I've got a little bit of a spike in my subs too. So that's always awesome. And along those same lines, like I'll give a shout out to Cable 2006H. It's like new people and they make comments, you want to mention them, but it's it's just great to see the community coming together and you getting really good feedback or really good questions and things like that. So it's just overall a really great experience.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Yeah, and I agree. Great experience. I want to shout out to the people in the chat. I really appreciate you guys coming and showing us support, being part of the conversation with us. Just hanging out and having fun. There's a lot of other great content, as we've all been talking about, all over YouTube. Comic book related. Facebook. Instagram. All these places you could be in front of the TV watching God knows what. But no, you're here hanging out with us. So definitely appreciate that. So strict. Oh, wait, you're there. Wait. Comics and stuff. is here. Amazing Mercenator, Big E's Comics, Marky316 was here. There was a ton of people here. So I really appreciate that and the support. Nerdivision. I'm scrolling through really quick here. Huey's Comics was here. Tons of people. So thanks for that. Thanks to you guys for coming back every week, being part of this panel. Officially the regulars. This is the panel now. I think we're on to episode 5 now, so I can safely say this is the panel. So anybody else who comes on is a guest or
Nice,
whatever.
nice.
But it's you guys, all right, and myself. So
Send my
thank you
check
for
in the
that.
mail.
All right. I think that check would have to come from King of the Golden State. He's the one with the money around here. Yeah. So next week we're going to talk about the movie itself and what we thought of it, and we'll talk about these opening predictions and God knows what else is going to happen in the comic book world. So a lot to hopefully look forward to then. And I think with that, I always close with we talk about what we like. What our advice is, but ultimately collect what you like and what you love, and don't let anybody tell you that's wrong. If you stick with that, you can't go wrong. So that's going to do it, folks, for another episode here of Tuesday Comic Conversation, and we will see you guys in a week. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.
Take it easy.